It is said by some there's nothing more perplexing and terrifying to a writer than a blank page. The confrontation of empty space on the pages was joyous and full of hope at the same time. A popular opinion to further this line of thought is that our sense of freedom is the only limitation to self-development. I have found this development through words through most of my life accomplishments. However, my ancestors, that I have become aware of through those benighted days in 1315, when the residue of the Order of the Knights Templar fled France and disbanded in the rest of Europe. Ultimately, a large portion of these factions were artisans. We might describe them today as catering assistants in the confectionery sector. After many years of living in a sort of a suitcase and staying in other people's rat-infested barns, these last fled to the southeast of Scotland and one of the islands in Argyll, becoming some of the best royal bakers of the age, it seems. Whispering into the ears of kings and princes, there was even a theory they even influenced the Scottish revolts at the time, adopting the title of Baxters. The name was later adapted through consonantal shift into Baxter. According to the Croyland Chronicles, these Baxters served the leaders of the region for the next couple of hundred years. These bakers eventually developed a new order given to the artisan career path, that of Freemasons. It was not a religious order, perpetuated specifically for the traders involved in masonry, those within commercialism. Emil Durkheim has it that freedom of the soul is found through conformatization and the need for self-induced institutionalization, laws of the state imposed upon us even today.
I'm taking back the crown. I'm all dressed up and naked. I see what's mine and take it. Oh yeah, the crown. So close I can taste it. I see what's mine and take it. Oh yeah.
It was Henry Ford, the first major developer of production line techniques, that said, "If anyone is moving forward together, then success takes care of itself." This is very true in essence, and when he started to revolutionize the commercial world, his promotion of the Ford motor car. However, this was during the period of great change and realization. The Great War of 1918 pulled society together to work to a common goal. It was our freedom of the past that we were able to what we were fighting to maintain. This is a psychosis that is no longer the case. Postmodernism has seen to that. We no longer rely on entrepreneurial freedoms and individual identities to survive. Consumerism has separated our goals into compartmentalized communities and introverted extended families, creating a lack of that for which we fought. Today, we all work for our survival and have no time for personal development anymore. Philip Zimbardo says that there's very little communication between our souls and our everyday lives anymore, resulting in extreme dissociation effects between personality and individual. People become more and more content and settled in society. The stories of words would take the form of the third party rather than the platform of accomplishments. In doing this, their entertainment value shifted from the localized to find a global life of their own. Of course, this tradition flourished and gave rise to many iconic stories and legends, recording in different formats. Beowulf, kings of old like Alfred and Arthur, rebellious characters like Robert and Locksley. The list goes on. It is good to know that and rewind ourselves that these are the fictions that were once facts in some way. And more of the bears and soothsayers and clergy perpetuated these tales, and the more they became alive and part of the different natural identities today in so many cultures. Dance is another example of individualistic freedom. For almost 1,000 years, dance is formulated, structured, indicated, commercialised, and become an integral part of globalised civilization. Today, of course, it is seen as an aside, a comparative extent to a more prominent pastimes in movies and other forms of mass media. We're all well aware that it doesn't stop its influence over so much of our postmodern society. Still, a large part of our courtship, our dating game, modern dance flourishes with gusto in clubs across the land. Today, the terrifying majority of the older generation with prolific and what some might say were unnecessary deep bass tones of doom. It also serves to this day to form a new world cultural unity that cement relations on the same scale. So, many have picked the art up over the last 1,000 years and managed to bring it just a little further, and it becomes awe-inspiring. This kind of institutionalised freedom of speech and movement is no longer a way of relating to past events around a simple fire in a hut. It is now a life of its own. It is conglomerated to sustain an entity that surrounds. It also lets us understand the lives of real people, as well as creating individual identities that enter into public consciousness. In the late 400s, something amazing happened again to society. It changed the way stories would be distributed forever. The printing press was invented. If this happened today, we would go around just gesticulating that this was such a sick happening. It would ultimately blow our minds. After the press was invented, we received Dracula, Nemo, the Time Machine, Sherlock Holmes, and so much more. It's difficult to think about. They were all, and still are to this day, alive. In the words of Mary Shelley's Dr. Frankenstein, it's alive! As an indirect result of our culture flourished, not just English culture, but global culture, through commerce, but also through understanding of a common ideal, the ideal of an icon, the ideal of interpersonal and mechanical freedoms. It's interesting to remember that the self-induced institutionalisation isn't something we should spend our lives being afraid of or fear the influence of others. It is a form of freedom, freedom to express our individuality, the right to unionise as a whole community and operates both independently and as a unit. The stories of told back in 1318 around the table in a rat-infested barn where not tales of conformitization but communalism gone wrong. They were stories of valour and courage that would evolve into tales we know today and thus illuminate our lives. The group of disjointed knights from their order may have started out as simple bakers and artisans, storytellers and academics. They became something greater though, an immortal council of kings. I refer not to the individual rulers of provinces and nations, but to a conglomerate of monarchs that made up the illuminated imagination of the world that we represent. A council of kings that belongs to us all. The kings are us, our soul today, full of stories of yesterday. Maybe we should assert the truth in our minds. A story and allegiance to remember warriors that thrive in our hearts. No longer is there a battle that's only just begun. We shall engrave in our history that we're all a king's son. It's not without regret that I have to declare this is the last Retrospective Rumours for a while, and I'll soon be doing another series of county climates. In the next series of Retrospective Rumours, I want to continue with the social examination of the last, and look at what our brave new world, in the wake of recent political events, and how they affect us from a sociological standpoint, if there's anyone left. Come on, Faith. You wassing me? You're saying stuff.
I just waited.
I think I got too much light behind me on that last shot though. You're the director, you should know these things.
Oh, okay.
The way out, the way in. Where the expertise insofar as directing is going, you see. She's now done a couple of shots. She's now directed a couple of shots and she thinks she's an expert.
I am actually. So good that
Yeah.
I'm doing a dance about it. It doesn't help that you're a difficult customer. But if you listened and you are patient, you will realize I'm such a very good director.
Where are we going? The Pharos, I suppose.
To the lighthouse. To the lighthouse. Do one here, and then do the other one there.
You don't want to walk any further, I presume. That's why you're trying to get away with that. Satisfactory for you? Did you like it?
Yes,
Yeah.
I suggested it. Thank you very much.
You've got to be eccentric and. Oh my God, she's awful. She just can't do the whole theatricality thing. It's appalling, it really is appalling. I mean, look at that. Okay. I'll see you in a bit. I'm going to catch up with you. Do one of your jigs. That's it. That's it. Oh, that's it, baby. Yeah. That's it.
See the ramp? We did.
You're that really? You're like exhausted with it, yeah?
No, I'm happy to be here.
Really?
Yeah, that was super amazing.
Can
we go now?
You done?
Yes. Beautiful.